Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. As I always say, if you want to find out if an action is just, or a policy, a law, a decision, there's at least two basic requirements that must be met. One, that rule, that action, applies across the board. And the second one, put yourself at the receiving end and see if you think that the process is fair, if you would consider it fair, you being the victim. These are the two, I say, basic of the basic requirements to figure things out, okay? If something is right or wrong. So, in this case, we have, maybe you're familiar with those four American citizens that were kidnapped in the country of Mexico. And I think two were killed and so on. You maybe are familiar that there are some infighting over there in Mexico between the drug cartels, and that is their family. That's them. That's an independent, sovereign country. Now, if something happens over there with your citizens, well, that's up to the country to solve that problem, which is Mexico. You, as an outside, different country, different, have your sovereignty, you have your independence, you are equal. You should not have a say in what's going on in that country, right? You should not. Now, the United States has this kind of practice, and it's a very dangerous practice for the two reasons I mentioned at the beginning of this video. One, is it across the board? And the other one, if you would switch positions, would you be happy if you would be treated by the same rule that you apply now? So what happens? It happens that we have a very mouthy, very weak senator. His name is Lindsey Graham. And this weak senator, he was elected by constituency. I think it's from South Carolina. And South Carolina is not a big state. And last time, I think when I checked, he was, voted by about 2 million people or so, which is fantastic for a population of the United States of 340 million. But anyway, this guy is the guy who, on two occasions, called for a president of another sovereign independent country who was democratically elected, which is the evil guy Putin, to be taken out. On two occasions, this senator said that Putin should be taken out. Someone should take him out. That means to assassinate him, kill him. That's instigation to commit crime, a crime, a terrorist act. All right, now he's coming with something else. He thinks, this Graham, I have two articles here. He wants to introduce a bill which will will set the stage for the U.S. military to take action in the sovereign independent country of Mexico to punish whomever Senator Graham and the United States decides or designates as enemies or terrorists. Therefore, by their, not dogma, but by designating a group of terrorists in another country, United States can claim self-defense and being in their national interest to intervene. Therefore, they, because they're strong, not because they would like to be at the receiving end, would like to be able to go and kill those Mexican cartels just for the good. Now you say, okay, well, all right. It sounds very, how should I put it, nice that you want to eliminate or take care of, bad dudes, like he wants to take care of Putin. But Putin was democratically elected by a country, by some people, a nation. So it's a little bit trickier than a cartel. Even if you want to do that, you have to take into consideration that that's a country over there, and you have no right to intervene unless you feel threatened, your security. Like Putin felt, that his security is threatened by NATO, but it's a different story. He can't do anything about it. But we can. We can intervene. That's what Mr. Graham wants, with the military in Mexico, and straighten things out. And then we come out. That's it. We're just going to do that. Now, let's see what Mr. Graham says, and let's analyze this proposal, because there are very dangerous ramifications coming out of this, because you should not believe someone or don't give to anybody your keys or your code from your safe, because he's going to take over there only what you owe him. He's going to take everything. Why? Because he can. So this article comes from AOL, The Hill. Graham says he will introduce bill to set the stage for US to use military force in Mexico. Yes, this weasel right here. There you have him. And he's a senator. He is one of the 100 in the United States of America. So he said that he's prepared to introduce legislation to set the stage, end quote, for US military force in Mexico, saying it was time to get tough on the neighboring country, independent and sovereign like Ukraine, after 4 Americans were kidnapped by armed men this week. Okay, now this is what he says. Graham added he would introduce legislation to make certain Mexican drug cartels foreign terrorist organizations, so the United States will designate whomever they feel like, and because they're honorable and fair and good, will just make sure that only the terrorists will be designated, and the bad dudes will be designated terrorist organizations under the US law, and set the stage to use military force if necessary. That's just the US decision. And he says, I would tell the Mexican government. Mexican government is a government that it's made out of Mexicans, and it's an independent sovereign country. If you don't clean up your act in your country, we're going to clean it up for you. The senator says, okay, who gives you this right? Under United Nations? Under what? I know that's a little clause of the United Nations. If you are threatened by, an imminent attack, you have, I think, the right to, go and cry at the United Nations and defend yourself or something like that. But here, no, we're going to clean it for you, your act, because we are your daddy. All right, we are a daddy. That's a very insulting statement here. How else would you take it? If you don't clean your up, boy, we're going to come and take care of you. You're going to get a whooping. All right? Now, I know that this might sound, but hey, since we have all people probably in agreement, they will authorize this. So, let's go and go to the next article. It says Senator Graham calls for fury and might of U.S. to be unleashed on Mexican cartels, eyes military action. So he is under the desire to get involved militarily in another country. He's going to use any reason that he can find. In this case, all of a sudden he gets very, very concerned with people dying of fentanyl in the United States of America. That's not something that happened 3 days ago since those guys were kidnapped. This happens in the past, few years, 5 years, 10 years? And only now he wakes up and he has a problem with Mexico. Now let me tell you this. When I was younger in Romania, and you were, if someone wants to kick your butt, sometimes he didn't have to find a reason. But sometimes he would find a reason like, hey, what are you looking at? And it was, are you challenging me? You can say yes, no, whatever you would say, he was coming, and that was his reason. I didn't start it, you started it. You challenged me by looking at me like you're a smart guy, smart ass. That's the reason. Or, hey, are you talking about me? I heard you call my name. Bam. So that's kind of like this guy is trying to find out something over there that I can make it legal and appear and justify me beating you up. So this is what Graham is doing, like a thug that he is. All right, let's move on here. So now all of a sudden he finds fentanyl as a problem. Okay, all of a sudden, and we need to intervene. And I have something here, down here somewhere. Is it? Hopefully, this will change behavior of the Mexican government. Nothing would please me more than to have a meaningful partnership. But if they don't agree, I'm going to dog them up, right? But if Mexico will not cooperate, then we're going to have to do this in our national security interest. You got that? So we're going to say like this. You do it my way. I want you to cooperate. I want you to bend over, take your pants off, and cooperate with me. But if you're not going to cooperate with me, I'm going to beat you up, I'm going to take your pants down, bend you over, and proceed. So this is what Graham is saying, just in plain thuggish verbiage or semantics, okay? And then he mentioned what? What did he mention over there? Did you catch that over there? In national security interest. All right, it's national security interest. That means in our interest that we decide, we determine what's in national security interest, obviously. We can do this, and you have nothing to do, and you can't oppose us because we're gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean, right? And listen, Graham called the problem a national security threat just because he wants. All of a sudden, okay, no problem. Now, I have another problem here, and another question. What if the Russians determined that NATO's expansion eastwards towards their border was in their national security interest to go and push the borders a little bit that way? Would that work? And if not, why not? Oh, because Russians are bad and because we're good. Because if you use any other across the board or exchanged, put USA to the receiving end, you would not like it. They would not like it. So, for instance, let's say Cuba, let's say, decides that they designate some American organization that tries to infiltrate in Cuba and overthrow the government, like the Bay of Pigs, let's say, okay, CIA-trained Cubans, right? And they designate those people or whatever factions that are trying to overthrow the Cuban government as a national security interest. And they designate that those are terrorists. Are they allowed to do that? If you ask the US government, they would not even talk to you because you know the answer. Or they might say, let them try. That means who's got the power dictates. So all this blah 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 by Graham we're doing for the right and the good, and if you don't clean your house, like our house is clean. It's another thing, we're gonna come and clean it for you the way we want. Like I'm your daddy. So it's my national interest Donald Trump's, your national interest? How about you have your national interest? But then if you apply this, can other countries claim the same thing? And if not, why? Because you determine what is for someone else's national interest. Let's say the Russia said, well, the Ukrainians are killing, the Ukrainian military is killing our Russian nationals in East Ukraine. And you bring NATO close to us, you're going to put rockets over there, and that's it's a threat to us. We need security guarantees. You don't want to give us, well, it's in our national security interest to intervene and push all the borders back to, the Atlantic Ocean. And then the United States says, well, that's not the reason. We don't consider that your national interest. So you can't do that. We forbid you to do that. But what if Russia tells the United States right now, no, we forbid you to, there's not a national interest to go over there and attack or go with your military in Mexico. What do you think the United States will say? What are you going to do about it? So you see, everything comes down to this. Everything else that's, oh no, we do it for the 700,000 fentanyl. Yeah, okay. We do it for the 4 Americans that were over there for a talk, whatever. They wanted to cut their bellies. Anyway, belly talk. That's why they went over there. It doesn't matter. They did not deserve that. We know that, right? But anyway, this guy is trying to get this done. Now, if you think that the United States is just going to be doing this and then come back out, this is a precedent, like many others that were set. And then when another country will set the same precedent, will follow the precedent, these guys will say, no. Only we can do that. You can't do that whatsoever. Why? Because we say so. Now, you tell me if this is just or not. Now you say, well, the Mexicans do not agree with that. The Mexicans should clean up your house. You have your house clean? Do you have it? Do you think that there are other countries over there, let's say Iran, saying that actually in your country here, it's a lot of, immorality? And according to their culture, what's going on is hell? And based on that and those values, can they intervene here? Obviously not. No, certainly not. But we can. Why? Because we consider we're better? Why are we better? Anyway, this is it, my friends. Graham is a very dangerous person. And just so you know, when these guys are infringing a little bit, are pushing a little bit, you think that they will just come back after that? That means they were able to get away with that. Next time they're going to push further, and then further and further. This is how tyrannies are. Little by little, unopposed, they're just going to get. And I'm just going to give you this. Remember the COVID restrictions and mandates? I can tell you things more than that will happen in the future for our own protection. And people would not push back because look what happened here. And this was this much. Next one is going to be further. And next time is going to be further until they get stopped. And then they're going to back off a little bit. Time passes and they're going to try again. And if they're going to push back again, they're going to try again later. And at one point, they will be able to get in. And then it's hard to push them back from there. I mean, you'll see. You'll see. I hope we don't see, but I guarantee you will see. We will see things going further in this country, not only this country. Look what these guys are doing with Tucker Carlson. He just shows videos and he's, oh my God, those videos. No, don't show them the videos. I want to see everything. I want to see everything. Don't hide those things from me. Anyway, and then they get, oh, you don't see what you see over there. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. That guy is dangerous, Graham. Very dangerous. And he's a senator, elected.